Many academics, many scholars have noted that the introduction of AI technology represents a historical shift as profound as the invention of writing or printing. I argue that it is more like the introduction of fire. AI will fundamentally transform human bodies and minds, but its impact will vary depending on whether one controls it or is controlled by it. My name is Eduardo Albrecht. I'm Associate Dean at Mercer University, as well as a Senior Fellow at United Nations University. The key theme is that we're seeing the rise of political machines. These are AI systems that are used in government to make decisions around resource allocation. It could be policing, it could be benefits, travel rights, speech rights, privacy, and so forth. So I organized a book along the physiological, psychological, sociological, and environmental level of data collection. Now, unlike past surveillance systems, these new systems can actually see into our thoughts and behaviors. So it's leading to a crisis of individual judgment. Citizens increasingly trust these algorithmic decisions more than they trust their own reasoning. It's a kind of algorithmic bias, which is leading to a fundamental shift in the way we relate to ourselves. We don't trust ourselves anymore. In a sense, we're giving up autonomy in favor of automation. This will be true, I argue, for some people more than others. So there will be different levels of loss of individual judgment. Well, my core thesis is that these political machines, or AI systems that are used in governance, are creating new class divisions between people that have access to AI and people that don't have access to AI. To counter this, I argue that we need new democratic institutions. A new institution that would ensure public access to how these systems are calibrated. This is the only way to rectify the upcoming imbalances. So the book proposes the concept of a third house. A third house would be a virtual chamber that legislates exclusively on AI in government decision-making. It would have to be a placeless and timeless institution. It would have to operate continuously and around the clock. It would have to be easily accessible all the time, for example, via an app that citizens can use to interface with it. Its key functions would be to review and approve the deployment of political machines. We already have a higher house, a Senate, and a lower house, a House of Representatives. But now we need an additional chamber that deals with governing uses of AI in government. I argue it will have to be based on principles of direct democracy. Now, I further argue that we will need AI-powered replicas of ourselves, or digital citizens, to interact with this virtual institution. These digital citizens would act as our personal emissaries to the third house. Well, let me explain a little bit the operation of the digital citizens. These are AI-powered digital doubles that represent real citizens in the third house. So they become our live agents. They can engage in automated discussion with other digital citizens on our behalf. They can process vast amount of policy information beyond our capacity to do so. This allows for a continuous participation without overwhelming us as real citizens. Real citizens would drive their digital emissaries through an app interface. Real citizens would set values and preferences that our digital citizens promote. For example, we could weigh in on how much privacy we're willing to give up in favor of security, or how much freedom of speech we're willing to give up in favor of tolerance. And then the digital citizen would do the hard work of deliberating along with millions of other digital citizens in this virtual chamber and actually inputting the result of that virtual automated deliberation into the decisions that the AI makes. I see it as the only option. These political machines are operating at a speed and with amounts of information that is far beyond our capacity. It's a little bit like they're traveling at the speed of light and we're as slow as turtles. It's impossible to compare these two cognitive frameworks. So in a sense, to have these digital citizens as our emissaries, and I call them our emissaries because they represent our preferences. It's a kind of a bridge between our way of thinking and the way of thinking of the political machines. To regain the autonomy we lost, we must automate ourselves. New rights will be needed to support this institution. For example, the right of access. We must be able to know how our data is used and what AI systems, all the time. We must have easy, full access to what our digital citizens are doing and how our data is being used by political machines. Second, we must have freedom of thought. We must be able to override the AI's ascriptions of our thoughts and intent, both in terms of the political machines, but also in terms of what our digital citizens are thinking. We must always have the upper hand. AI will create unprecedented division, leading to physiological and cognitive differences between groups of humans. Just like the invention of fire led to a split in the evolutionary lineages of hominids that used it versus those that did not. So those who will control AI will be enhanced. They will gain a kind of self-directed augmentation. The rest will have a diminished agency and be passively shaped by the AI's decisions. The aim of this book is to assure that the highest proportion of people end up in the former category as opposed to the latter. I would like to emphasize this point. We're not seeing a historical transformation. We're seeing an anthropological transformation. This is no longer a matter of large portions of the population losing their job or being replaced by robots. We're on the cusp of an evolutionary change in the way that we are physically and mentally made. Now, if our past is any indication, we will not all change in the same way. Some of us will change for the better, some of us will change for the worse. That will create an obvious hierarchy between the two groups. Unless we do something, unless we create the institutions that allow all of us to change for the better.